Biggest mistakes made by house cleaners, and can you prevent from making them yourself? Yes, we're going to continue this today. Hi there, I'm Angela Brown, and this is Ask a House Cleaner. This is a show where you get to ask a house cleaning question, and I get to help you find an answer. Now, today's show is brought to us by Savvy Cleaner Training, and we just came out with a new program called Eco Cleaning Supplies and Equipment. And it is all the Green Seal, Safer Choice, Earth Choice products that you need to be cleaning for professional house cleaners. And so it is all your cleaning supplies, it's your maintenance supplies, it's your deep cleaning supplies, it's what goes inside your cleaning caddy. It is all of the special tools or special accessories that go along with the cleaning business, the process of an employee checking out equipment and then returning it in the same order in which they received it. It is brilliant. So check it out over at savvycleaner.com. All right, on to today's show. We are moving through 25 of the biggest mistakes house cleaners have made, and so that you can learn from them and not make the same mistakes, not repeat the same errors that they made. Number 12, keeping emotionally abusive customers that you wanted to let go because they had given you referrals to family and friends. Let's just take a second here and think about this one. All right, so this happens a lot. And there is a customer, and they might be a high maintenance customer, that then recommends you to their mother or their child or their friend or their neighbor or whatever. And all those people are good customers. And you end up putting up with a bad customer because you're afraid if I say goodbye to this customer, I'm going to lose all the other customers that they recommended. All right, so this has to be something that happens on the walkthrough from day one. So when you arrive at a customer's house and they say, oh, I have a friend that's looking for, okay, here's how that works. And you very clearly up front have to create the rules and regulations that go along with the referrals. Anytime anyone, anywhere gives me a referral, it has to be based on this. The referral is because you like my work and because you want to refer me. And then whatever happens between me and that person is between me and that person. And even though you recommended me to that person, I will never have a conversation with you about that person out of respect for that person. And I will never have a conversation with that person about you and me, because I have respect for you. So just up front, just wanted to let you know that even though this person is your friend and you have a lot of conversations with them, even I may be a common denominator that I clean both of your homes, I will never have a conversation with either one of you about the other one. So please don't bring them up to me again after the referral. That said, if anything malfunctions with the other person, that is between me and them, and it will never come back on you. So I just want to let you know, if your weird friend goes rogue on you and they become mean and nasty and whatever, I will never bring it back to you. It will never ricochet back on you. And I like to say it that way because by the same token, I don't want it to come back on me. And I will be very clear in the very beginning about the expectations of that relationship for this reason. We work a lot off of referrals. And a lot of what we do is people recommending us because they liked something about what we did. But because confidentiality is so important, we will never breach that contract. And by the same token, if something malfunctions, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of times it does. There's just weird stuff. There are weird people. There's crazy stuff. People going through weird things in their lives that make them act differently than normal. And so during those times, you might have to let this customer go while you're trying to hang on to the other customers. If it ever comes up in a conversation, and this gets weird, because a lot of house cleaners will try to lie and they will try to say, well, I'm canceling my business or I'm going back to school or whatever, and I'm not taking on any new clients. And so they cut the one customer off while they're trying to keep the other customer separate. That never works, okay? The person's going to see you advertising on Facebook. They're going to see you out in the neighborhood cleaning the neighbors' homes. Something's going to happen, okay? It always backfires. You got to come clean and just say, hey, you know that conversation we had about if something doesn't work out? Well, something didn't work out. I felt really bad about it, but I'm going to go ahead and advise you to go get a different house cleaning service because I'm no longer a good fit for you. And just leave it at that. Don't talk about the referrals. Don't talk about everyone else. Don't talk about the neighbors. Don't talk about anything. Just keep it a very isolated situation, because if you're breaking up with a customer, they probably know why, right? Probably something happened. It's probably an agreement that both of you know that the relationship is over. So just end it, be mature about it, be professional about it, and don't bring in the neighbors and the referrals and all this other stuff. It's not part of the same deal. If the customer gave you a referral and you gave them some kind of a bonus or a bird dog fee, they got out of whatever it was they were hoping to get from that referral. The deal is done. Okay? So that is a huge mistake made by a lot of house cleaners. I wanted to touch on that. All right, number 13. There's a house cleaner that wrote in and she said, I wasted 20 years of cleaning all day, every day when I could have been listening to podcasts or Audible books. Yowzer. Well, that just breaks my heart because there's a whole lot of stuff you could have been learning during that time. Well, the good news is you had time to think through a lot of things. So maybe you resolved life's big issues in your head. I don't know. But cleaning is a perfect time for you to be listening to Audible books or podcasts or things like that, things that will help you learn and grow and develop your skills. And so a lot of house cleaning companies allow one earbud in that allows you then to pay attention to everything around you for situational awareness, and also if a customer or a client is speaking to you. And it prevents you then from being on the telephone or other things that are distracting while you're working. And so if you can work and you can listen to something running in the background of your mind that brightens your mood, that brightens your education, that makes you a little bit smarter and a little bit better person, I totally recommend it. I have learned so much over the years while I'm in my car or I'm out jogging or I'm cleaning or whatever, because it is time that my brain can be accepting information while my body is doing the physical routine tasks that are part of the system that almost run on autopilot. Yes, I'm aware of being in the moment, but enough so that I can still clean and do a very thorough job and hear the podcast or learn at the same time. So I hate that somebody wasted 20 years. Please don't be that person. Let's learn from this house cleaner's mistake. All right, number 14, biggest mistakes house cleaners make. This one comes from somebody who said, I believed everything that I read in a cleaning Facebook group. All right, let me back up just a second because I myself belong to 5 Facebook cleaning groups. In fact, I run them, and so does my team. And so we are in the thicket of Facebook groups every day. And every day, some of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my entire life come out from house cleaners in that group. Now, I don't know if they're trying to spook you, or if they're trying to trick you, or if they're trying to, you're my competition, and I know that you live nearby, so I'm going to give you some bad advice so that you can ruin somebody's countertop or whatever. Some of the worst advice I've ever seen is inside the groups that I belong to. Now, the reason I say that is because Facebook groups are a public forum, and people are allowed to come in, and we welcome people's opinions, okay? Because as soon as somebody says something stupid, they usually get smashed by about 2,800 people. They're like, you're wrong. Okay, lesson learned, right? Now you'll check your facts before you actually come in and spout stuff like that in a Facebook group. And there are times I've literally jumped in myself. I'm like, please. I know you're joking because this is the absolute most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And if you did this, not only would you be fired in an instant, and I kind of like crack the whip, right? So please, if you're going to go to a public forum like Facebook, or it could be Reddit or whatever, okay, buyer beware. This is not certified training. This is not reputable training. These are your peers. Some of them are not actually in the business at all. They trick you into thinking that they're part of the business because they're trying to glean something from you. Or in fact, maybe they're your customers. I don't know. There's not really a good way to vet all the people that lie and say that they are house cleaners, right? We ask several questions. We try to vet the process. We check out their Facebook pages, all that stuff. You do as much as you possibly can. Some people actually lie. Some people try to trick you. Okay, so you have that. And then you have people that are like, well, I'm an expert. I've been doing this for 3 whole weeks. Like, what do you know? Okay. Wow. All right. And they have no formal education, and maybe they are not a chemist, and maybe they don't really have any information to back up what they're saying, right? So buyer beware. That said, there are some business owners that have tried things, that have been in the trenches, that have excellent information. And so by sitting there on the sideline, it's like that jump rope game where you watch the rhythm of it and you can kind of like see who's legit and who's just kind of a bumbling house cleaner, right? There's all of that going on. So my recommendation is please do not take at face value the things that you hear in any Facebook group until you vet your own facts. Because in the end, none of the people in the Facebook group are going to pay for your insurance if you screw something up. They're not going to be there to reconcile whatever happened with your customer. And oftentimes, some of the advice that you get, people are making it up on the spot. And they've never actually gone through those scenarios themselves. Now, I know nobody would ever do that, right? All right. That's how I feel about that. All right, number 15, biggest mistakes house cleaners make. And this is a real bugaboo. Giving away too much for free. Every house cleaner, at some point, has done this. So don't beat yourself up over this, but this is a lesson learned, and I'm hoping that you learn it too so you don't make the same mistake. But giving away too much for free, because we are people pleasers, we want to help people, and then we see somebody that really needs our help, and they either can't afford it or they can only afford part of it. So we say, well, I'll just throw in an extra hour of cleaning. Well, I'll just take them to the doctor's appointment. I will just run their grocery errands for them. I will just babysit their kids. I will just walk their dogs. The stories are endless, right? You end up giving away 2, 3, 4 hours extra that is not on the pay book. The reason this is a problem is because every time that happens, what you're doing is you're stepping a little bit closer into this complacency, complaining situation where you have broken down the barriers of a business relationship and you are stepping into that vein of now I'm your family. And so when you cross that barrier, what happens now is they treat you like the family instead of treating you like the professional that you are, and it's not scalable. So if you have a team of people and the person that's given the extra goes away, now they don't want anyone else. They only want that house cleaner. And so what happens is if that house cleaner is not available and you send in another person, they're going to complain about the new person because the new person didn't do all the extras, even though the new person is doing everything on the checklist and everything exactly as your standard operating procedures declare that they do. Okay? They're doing everything by the book. The other person went rogue. Now they want the other person that went rogue. And this is where customers buy from just the employee, like they kick you out and they only want this person to come clean their house. It's because this person gave them so many extras for free, but it's not scalable and it's not sustainable. And so we really, really recommend, out of the goodness of your heart, we know you want to help. And there is a place for charity in every business. But on a routine cleaning, in a very systematic approach, that is not the place for it. And that is a huge mistake that house cleaners make because they want to give. They want to please the customer. They want to make sure that that customer is happy. Okay, that all falls within a particular package. And if you step outside the package, that's where it starts costing you a lot of money and a lot of problems. And in the end, this is what they don't tell you. The people pleasing in the end will cause regret to the house cleaner because then they feel like, oh, this person now expects me to pick up their groceries and to walk their dog and to take them to the doctor's appointment and all these other things that were at once volunteered. They now expect it at no extra charge. So now the house cleaner feels like, oh, I got myself in this really weird situation and I can't get out, and they regret the decisions that they've made. So that is a huge mistake house cleaners make. Please do not fall into that trap. All right, that's all I have for you today. Tomorrow we continue with the biggest mistakes house cleaners make. If you found this helpful, please pass it on to a friend. If we've earned your subscription, please subscribe. And if you have a biggest mistake you want to add, leave it in the show notes because I'm all ears. I want to hear and I read the messages. All right, take care. Until then, leave the world a cleaner place than when you found it.